Hello, you are watching the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Marina Kim and these are the top stories. Almaty activists of the movement Leave Housing to People were arrested on Tuesday during the attempt to hold a protest march. They did manage to read out an appeal to the participants of the OSCE summit, which will be held in Astana until December 2nd. The police was especially brutal during the arrest, even hitting a pregnant woman in process. Coincidentally, one of the demands of the movement members is the democratization of the legislation on the freedom of assembly.
An attempt to address the participants of the Astana's OSCE summit ended violently in Almaty on Tuesday. 6 people were arrested during a 2-hour action, including a pregnant Molbir Abdesheva. We won't touch them if you won't violate laws. About 150 people from Pavlodar, Shymkent, Almaty and the region gathered to demand the authorities to stop the pre-trial confiscation of housing, release all political prisoners, electiveness of judges and democratization of legislation on peaceful assembly. Being a district prosecutor, I have to warn you that you will bear criminal or administrative responsibility. We will peacefully hold our rally and leave unless you will start some provocations. Almaty Deputy Mayor Serixy Dumanov said he personally came to the rally because of the summit opening in Astana. Of course, we want these problems to be solved during and after the summit, but there is a real chance to solve it this day, so why shouldn't we? Just 2 years ago, the Financial Supervision Agency dealt with only about 50 problematic borrowers, and now this number grew tenfold. During this time, many citizens were convicted for standing up for their social and political rights. After letting protesters read their appeal to the OSCE member states, policemen blocked the activists who wanted to continue the rally with a march through the city. Everyone arrested was then taken to the district police station.
For 2 hours, about 50 activists of the movement Leave Housing to People demanded to release the organization leader Isinbek Uktishbayev, as well as 5 other arrested members of the movement. Supposedly, the initial action was aimed to show that Kazakhstan is a free country, although the subsequent developments drew quite the opposite picture. Activists of the movement demanded to release the 6 detained members of the organization, including a pregnant woman, and not to press charges against them. For a while, the law enforcement refused to talk to the people who opened the gates of the district administration of the Internal Affairs Department and answer reporters' questions. Instead, the police even threatened to open fire. In the end, protesters used creativity to block the street with an unending stream of people on the crosswalk, which created a traffic jam and forced the police to make a contact. After the protest, the pregnant woman was released with no charges, and 3 other members of the movement issued notices of appointment for December 2nd. The leaders of the organization, Isinbek Uktishbayev and Aliya Turdieva, were taken to court, but the hearing was postponed until December 3rd, likely due to the OSCE summit. Uktishbayev believes that the developments in the court were a provocation by the authorities, for which he now faces 15 days in jail. We wanted to hold a walking protest with posters, not violating any laws, as it is done in a civilized world, in the way it should be. I don't blame the police for the incident, because I understand they simply follow orders. On Tuesday, policemen of the Almaty Internal Affairs Administration ignored the hearing over the illegal actions against real estate investors of the company Kazakhstan Engineering. Previously, Zhankazy Bakibayev filed a lawsuit against the officers seeking a compensation of $6,000 for moral damages for his arrest during a protest action in late September. During the 2 court hearings, it was revealed that the detainees were not registered in logbook. The 3rd hearing was ignored by the policemen. The judge secretary said the Internal Affairs Administration asked for the postponement of the trial. Judge Douran Triubayev decided to move it to December 7th. The lawyer of co-investors considers it a gross violation of legal procedures. There are no reasons for the trial postponement. A legal person cannot become sick of leave for a working trip. Thus, I see this is a hampering with the consideration of our legal process. One day before the opening of the OSCE summit in Astana, the capital underwent final preparations. Numerous APCs and heavy military emergency vehicles were spotted in the city. In the meantime, the media center hosted several thematic briefings organized by the organization's representatives.
The media center has been running for already several days, even before the official opening of the OSCE summit. On Tuesday, the Palace Shabut hosted several briefings of the organization's representatives. The OSCE Secretary General Marc Perrin de Brichambault held a Q&A for the accredited journalists. Western reporters were mostly interested in the WikiLeaks scandal. The OSCE Secretary General said the organization will not intervene in the matter, allowing everyone involved in the scandal to deal with the issue on their own. The final document might be discussed, but I cannot say anything specific at the moment. By the evening, Kanat Saudabayev confirmed that the document's key points have been agreed upon, although its format is not yet determined. Listing the achievements of Kazakhstan before the organization, the OSCE spokesperson Virginie Koldon said that Kazakhstan managed to gather the organization's heads of member states in its capital. Looks like this is it for now. The first and main achievement is the OSCE summit. It is very hard to organize it, and that's why we haven't had it for a long time. Thus the event means a lot for the organization. According to the latest data, 29 leaders of the OSCE member states confirmed their participation in the summit, as well as 10 presidents of non-member states. The security measures in the capital are continuing to be tightened. Our reporters are asked to come to the center at 5 a.m., even though the high-ranking officials will not be arriving until 10. At very conservative estimates, the summit, for the sake of the summit, will cost Kazakhstan 11 million euros.
Also on Tuesday, the OSCE Secretary General Marc Perrin de Brichambault commented the WikiLeaks US cable scandal. The official said his organization will not get involved in the matter and all figurants should deal with it on their own.
This is not our problem. This is a problem that should be dealt with by each involved country individually. There's nothing new or complicated about it for the OSCE.
In the meantime, WikiLeaks continues to release more US cables. Among the secret information is the confidential communication of American diplomats working in Kazakhstan, including the former and current US ambassadors John Ordway and Richard E. Hoagland. Their reports describe vast corruption and lavish lifestyles of top officials. The release of the information coincided with the US State Secretary Hillary Clinton's arrival to Astana.
In cables, diplomats emphasize the amount of private property belonging to President Nazarbayev, who apparently has strong affinity for horses. The former defense minister Aslan Musin is called a homo sovieticus, who enjoys hard drinking. The communications also describes the big four of the most influential people in the country. The aforementioned Musin, Kanat Saudabayev, Sarıbaykal Murzaev and Karim Masimov, bundled with Timur Kulibayev. In cables, their names are only separated with a hyphen, thus indicating a dependence on each other. In 2007, President Nazarbayev's son-in-law Timur Kulibayev celebrated his 41st birthday in grand style. At a small venue in Almaty, he hosted a private concert with some of Russia's biggest pop stars. The headliner, however, was Elton John, to whom he reportedly paid £1 million for this one-time appearance. There has been separate reports that Nelly Furtado performed at the August 2007 birthday bash for Kulibayev's wife Dinara Nazarbayeva. Kulibayev also appears willing to spend his fortune on others. According to Turkish diplomat Isik, when the Kempinski Group recently built luxury villas in Bodrum, Turkey, Kulibayev bought up a number of them at a cost of $4 to $5 million each and doled them out as gifts to friends and family. Kulibayev's financial activities are revealed not only through the WikiLeaks info dump. The Swiss general prosecutor is looking into a case against Kazakh president's son-in-law and his partner Arvin Tiku, charged with laundering of $600 million. Allegedly, this money was acquired as bribes paid to Kulibayev between 2000 and 2005 for the sale of Kazakh state oil and gas assets.
It's a decision of the federal prosecutor. I know that he already interviewed witnesses, and yes, they have the right to request Mr. Kubiliaev and other people to come to Switzerland to answer questions. Kubiliaev and Ms. Tiku are accused of money laundering in Switzerland, and so probably they have the right to be assisted by lawyers. So it is a possibility. And the second possibility is that Switzerland could request the assistance of Kazakhstan, but I'm afraid that it will be difficult.
Member of Social Democratic Party Azad, ex-Senator Walihan Kaysarov believes Timur Kulibayev is in serious trouble. I don't think that the will of Kazakhstan or Astana or some high-ranking officials and Timur Kulibayev's relatives can prevent the elaboration of this criminal case. Thus, the Swiss General Prosecutor will carry out the investigation independently of someone's desires to close or mislead this case. In the meantime, the US State Secretary Hillary Clinton arrived on Tuesday to Astana to take part in the OSCE summit. It is not a secret, she feels the WikiLeaks scandal is an attack on international community. I don't think that you'll get an answer sooner than December 2nd. We all are preparing for the summit now. I will ask my superiors, but you definitely won't get anything today, as we have a meeting with Hillary Clinton. Political scientists say the leaked documents will not bring a serious rift in the relations with the USA. Kazakhstan is not France or Italy, and no one will really be surprised about new revelations. There always has been some pressure from foreign media, and accusations in authoritarianism and corruption were always present. In this sense, Kazakh and global communities now have immunity to information like this. Everyone simply expects it. But if something like this will be revealed about US and European leaders, then everyone will be surprised and it could affect the situation. All experts agree on one thing. Over the next 18 months, the US State Department will have to change their entire fleet of ambassadors, since they will likely lose trust. Local experts expect to see more serious data about the country from WikiLeaks, as the site supposedly holds additional 2,000 pages of secret information on Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan psychologists and public activists are concerned about the growing rate of teenage suicides. Just recently, 2 of them happened almost simultaneously in Semey. Another attempt was averted in Taras on Monday evening. The statistics of the World Health Organization shows that more than 2,000 suicides were reported in Kazakhstan last year alone. A third of them were committed by teenagers.
Each year, the number of teenage suicides is growing in Kazakhstan, reaching the harrowing level of 850 deaths per year on average. Specialists say that only in every 10th case a teenage drive towards suicide is genuine. In all the other instances, it is but a cry for help, the desire to draw attention to distress and request for sympathy. The frequent cases of extortion by senior students could also be one of the reasons, say pupils themselves. The teenage racketeering is often ignored at school grounds. I believe it is happening due to the seniors' problems at schools like extortions. If victims cannot protect themselves, they have nothing else to do when commit suicide. It is likely happening because of the money. Seniors are always asking for money, and so they hang themselves because of it. Everything is different in different schools. It could happen when seniors extort money from others. Psychologists are sounding the alarm. It is necessary to protect teenagers against the discrimination and psychological violence. Extortion cases should be publicly condemned and perpetrators registered in the police. First of all, we shouldn't blame the teachers and professors. We need to be friends with kids, but all of us have jobs and little time to give to children. The latest 2 suicides in Semey shook the entire country. Pupils of 9th and 11th grades didn't leave any notes, and now parents and the police are trying to understand why the kids decided to do this. Classmates say Victoria Lavtina and Farid Sadikov had good grades and actively took part in extracurricular activities. No one even suspected something was wrong. Now the local education department categorically disagrees to comment the matter. I cannot say anything about it. We are looking into it. There was no school pressure there. It was a domestic suicide. Daria Zavgorodnaya knew Victoria Latvinova for 8 years until November 27th, when Victoria died. Now Daria looks at Latvinova's profile in a social network and says even one day before the incident, no one could say something was wrong. She was always upbeat, receiving good grades at school, communicating with everyone and helping all. Everyone had only good things to say about her. Psychologists say that the problem of teenage suicides is often ignored even now after several very public tragedies. The problem is the attempt to intervene in a child's life. The gap of alienation between adults with their problems and teenagers left to themselves is the main issue. The lack of good centers for teenage and children's psychological help leaves no chances to kids in difficult situations. Quite simply, they have nowhere to go and thus choose suicide, not hearing a word of support from adults.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.